Hello guys, welcome back to Nita Crochets. My name is Anita and the hook is my magic wand. Today we have slitted bell bottoms. Alright, first of all, I made a tutorial for plain bell bottoms like mesh bell bottoms, and it's already on my channel, so it's the written pattern on my Etsy Coffee and Ravelry shop. Now, written pattern for the split bell bottoms is going to be on my Etsy as well. Oh sorry, yeah, it's already there. Yeah, it's already there on my Etsy. Just in case you just need to purchase the pattern instead of watching the tutorial, the pattern is already available and I'm leaving the links in the description box. Okay, now guys, also I just need to remind you that my target is not yet reached. You can support me by buying me a coffee. I'm leaving the link in the description box. Now let us get into the split bottoms and see how we make them. So first of all, I'm going to be working with this yarn. I'm using a few clips of the mesh bell bottoms tutorial that I worked. Okay, this is also a 6mm hook which we are going to be working with. Back to the yarn, I'm going to be working with Robin. It's 100% acrylic. It is size 2 yarn, so I'm going to be doubling my strands. So I used a few clips of the mesh bell bottom because I just didn't want to like re-record things that are just the same. Okay, but later in the video you will see that I am working the yellow mesh bell bottom. So yeah, let's get into the tutorial and get started. So I realized I lost a clip, but yes, this is what you have to do. You are going to get your yarn. If you're working with DK yarn, you don't need to double your strands, okay? So you're going to get your yarn and make a knot, a slip knot. And after that, you are going to work chains that are equivalent to half your waist measurements. I hope I am clear. If your waist measurements are 34, divide 34 by 2 and you'll get 16. So work chains that are equivalent to 16 inches. Okay, personally I worked 52 chains. Just make sure the number of chains that you're going to work is divisible by 2. Okay, so let me get back after you have that. So guys, I am so sorry. I realized that I lost a few clips of the video, and now I just want to take you through by word, or you can just go back, watch a bit of it, but I don't advise. It's just a small clip that I lost. Now once you work your chains, make sure they are divisible by 2. For me, I worked 52 chains. Okay, and then into the second chain stitch from the hook, you are going to work 1 single crochet, and then you work 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way until the end of the row. So you will end up with 51 stitches. Okay, or whichever number that you have, the number that you end up with should be an odd number. It should not be divisible by 2. Okay, now after you have done that, this is how your work should look like. All right, so if you work like 82 chains, you're going to end up with 81 stitches after working this row of single crochet. Okay, so once you have this row of single crochet done, now this is where I'm going to pick it up because now I have the clips for this. All right, I am so sorry, but I hope you've understood. Right, now let's dive into the tutorial. Now here you're going to chain 4 and turn your work. Now we are going to start the mesh stitch. So 3 of the chains act as a stitch, so we skip that first one, and then the second one is going to be skipped. Okay, now into the third stitch we work a double crochet, just like that. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next. Now you are going to do this all the way until you get to the end of your row. Okay, just skip 1, chain 1, skip 1, and work a double crochet into the next stitch. Do this until the end of the row, and that's where I'm going to meet you and then show you what to do. Alright, now here we are, and this is what we have. Okay, this is how my work looks like. Now I am going to I'm going to chain 4 and turn my work, and I'm going to skip 1. You know the 3 chains act as a stitch, as a stitch, so I'm going to skip the second stitch, and into the third stitch I'm going to work a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, and this is what you are going to do once again until you get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm being fast because I went through this in my first tutorial for the mesh bell bottoms, and I hope you watched it because you know it gives you an insight of what this should look like. Now you are going to keep doing this all the way until the end of the row. Now here you work into the third chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the row. Okay, when you're ending the row, you make sure you work your last double crochet into the third chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the row. Now do this for more 2 rows, so we have 4 rows from here. Okay, I'm going to meet you there. Oh yes, so here it is. I have my 4 rows, 1 2 3 4. That's for the mesh stitch. That means I haven't counted the row of single crochet. But yes, this is what I have now. I feel I am confident that I need to start working my increments. So to work an increase, we are going to chain 4 and turn our work, yarn over. Now this time we are going to work into the very first stitch right there. So we work a double crochet into that very first stitch. So here that means we have created a V, and a V in the mesh stitch is an increase. Okay. So now what happens is we are now going to chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the third chain stitch, into the third stitch. You see what we have? This is an increase. Now chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next stitch, and just do this all the way until the end of the row. Now to end your row, remember you need to work the last double crochet into the third chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the previous row. Okay, now just do this all the way until the end of the row right there into the third chain stitch, and that's how you end your row. Okay, now let me meet you on the next row. So yeah, here we are on this row, and once again we are going to be working an increment. So to give you a heads up, we are going to have an increase at the start of the row only. So here we are going to chain 4 and turn our work. Like I said, 3 of the chains act as a stitch. So into this very first stitch we are going to work a double crochet, creating a V, just like we did for the previous row. Okay, and then we are going to chain 1 and skip 1 into the next stitch. We are going to work a double crochet. All right, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, and chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next stitch. So you can see how our increase turns out. By now you are not going to see the increment as yet, but as we go on you will see that we have more chain gaps than we had in the previous row, and you will see that for every row we have 1 chain gap added, okay, compared to the previous row. So just work this, okay, just continue working your mesh until the end of the row, and make sure you work into the third chain stitch of the Alright, so now as you can see, I have finished working my rows of increment. I have 14 rows in total, like 14 rows of the mesh stitch, and this is how your work should look like. Okay, you can see the increments that we have been working and the result of it. So going forward I have 15 rows including the single crochet row. Alright, now we are now going to close up our crotch, and this is what we shall do. So here I'm going to grab my other end of the row where I started from, and then I will work a slip stitch into the third chain stitch of the 4 that started the row, as you can see. Now for the next row we are going to chain 4. So this is more like our crotch. Okay, so we chain 4 and turn our work. Now we are going to be working in rounds. All right, so we skip this stitch and this, and into this next stitch we work a double crochet, and then chain one, skip one, into the next we work a double crochet, chain one, skip one, into the next stitch you work a double crochet. So this is what you are just going to do all the way around. Now that we have started working in rounds, I'm just going to get back and show you how to end your row, okay? Then you'll know what to do from there. See what we have? So that's it. So once you have finished going all the way around and you are at your last chain gap, this is what you will do. See that? Now here you're going to chain one and skip that very last stitch, then get into the third chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the previous row, and in there you are going to work a slip stitch. So this is what we are going to be doing because now we are working in rounds, right? Now from here you're just going to chain 4 and turn your work, okay? And then you will get into the third stitch from the hook, into the third stitch, and into that third stitch you're going to work a double crochet, then chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next as well, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch as well. So this is just what you are going to do all the way going round, okay? And once you go round, you'll get back to the third chain stitch and work a slip stitch, and just continue doing that for the next rows. Okay, so here we are. This is how my work looks like. I have worked 17 rows from the crotch, okay? From right here going down I have 17 rows, okay? And for me this is the length I need because I need my slit to start all the way like above the knee, okay? Now you're going to count all the chain gaps you have on your row, okay, and divide that number by 2, okay? And once you have divided that number by 2, I'm going to get my stitch marker and count my chain gaps and then mark the sides. So if you see closely, my starting point is the side, like the side of my crotch. So that means the other end is my other side, okay? So I'm just going to mark the double crochet stitch that's at the center of the row, which is on the other side, and then later I'm going to be in position to know the chain gaps I have on the front side and on the back side, and that way I can mark where I need to put my slit. So first of all, this is where the center of my row is, okay? Now I'm going to count the chain gaps I have on the front, because now this is the front, and when I flip my work, the other side is the back. So here you count all the chain gaps that you have, okay, and also divide the number of chain gaps that you have by 2, and in that way you can be in position to know where you have to put your slit, because your slit has to be at the center of our front. So I will mark the double crochet that is on this side and then the next double crochet as well. So that means that center chain gap is more like the center of my front. I hope I am clear. Okay. So sorry, I had to mark the next chain gap. Sorry, I made a mistake. So for me on both sides I have 8 chain gaps, 8 on the other side and 8 on the other side. So that means on the front I have about 19 chain gaps. I hope this is clear for you to understand. So I'm going to get my another acting stitch marker and I mark that point as well. So that means that's where the center of my front is, and that's where my slit is going to go, okay? And the other side is the center of my row, okay? So front and back, and then now this is the center of the front, okay? Now let's get started on working our slit. First we are going to cut our yarn from the other side, and then we start from right here where we have marked. And now here it is. I am going to insert my hook in there, okay, and pull through my yarn. Now I'm going to chain 2. Oh no, I'm going to chain 4 because 3 of the chains act as a stitch, and then the 1 chain is for the chain gap. So I'm going to skip the next stitch and work a double crochet in the next. Okay, and here I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next stitch, just like that. Okay, and you're just going to keep working 1 chain and then skipping 1 and working a double crochet into the next stitch, and this is what you are going to do all the way around. Okay, until back to the marked stitch for the center of our front. Okay, I need to take out this stitch marker because it will confuse you. Okay, so I'll take that out. You are going to work your row all the way around, okay, until right here, right there. We are not working a slip stitch anymore because we need it to split, so you're just going to work your row until right there in that stitch. So that's where I'm going to meet you. Now this is how my work looks like, and this is me at the end of my row. You can see the split. Okay, so we are no longer working in rounds. Now here, once again, you're going to chain 4 and turn your work and skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next. And also for this row, I'm going to just work this all the way around until I come to the end of my row. Okay, and for this row, at the end of the row, you're going to work your last double crochet into the 3rd chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the row, the previous row, right there. Okay, now just work all the way around. Okay, and I'm going to meet you once you have come to the end of the row, and after working this row, you're just going to follow exactly what we have done for the next row as well, so that we have 3 rows of the split. Okay, I'm going to meet you after you have your 3 rows. Here we are, and I have 3 rows of my split. This is how it looks like. I hope that is visible to your eye. Now that means from the crotch all the way going down, I have a total of 20 rows. Okay, that is from the crotch. Now here I am confident that I'm going to start working my bell. Okay, now I'm going to put my stitch marker into the double crochet that is in line with the double crochet, the starting point that I had when I was working the rows after the crotch. And then I'm going to count all the way, and once again I'll mark the center of my row where my stitch marker previously was, right there. Now the reason as to why we are doing this is the increments for our bell are worked on the sides, okay, as much as we are going to also have a slit on the front. So this is where our increments are going to go. Now this row we are going to, remember we are starting from our slit, we are starting from our slit. So for this row we are going to chain 4, skip the next stitch and work a double crochet into the next stitch, right there, and then chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, and just keep doing this until we are at the chain gap that is close to the marked stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing this until I get there, so I show you how to work our increment. Okay, okay, now here we are into the marked stitch, as you can see. Now here we are going to chain 1, We shall chain one and skip one into the marked stitch right there. We are going to work a double crochet just like that, okay? And then chain one, work a double crochet once again, all in that very same stitch. So we have created a V. Like I said, V's are for our increments, okay? Now from here you're going to work normal mesh stitch until you get to that marked stitch, and in there you also work a V. Then after you work your row until the end, okay? Okay, now this is how my work looks like. I have my increment right there. If you can see, there is a V right there. And then also on this side, if you see clearly, there is a V right there, okay? So I have that increment on both sides. Now my next row is not going to be of an increase. Like I said, if you want normal, like the standard width, just like it is in the picture of your bell, this is what you have to do. After your row of increase, we are going to chain 4, turn our work. Into the third stitch, we work a double crochet, then chain one, skip one, work a double crochet in the next stitch. Chain one, skip one, work a double crochet into the next stitch, and we are going to do this all the way around until the end of our row, okay? And like I said, remember that you have to work your last double crochet into the third chain stitch of the 4 chains that started the previous row. So for this row we are not working any increments, okay? We are just working a normal row. And this is exactly what we are going to do for the next row as well. So that means we are going to have 1 row of an increase followed by 2 normal rows. I always explain this whenever I make a tutorial. By a normal row, I mean a row without any increments whatsoever. So you can see I have gotten past my V and I just kept doing the mesh stitch. So do this until the end, okay? Then again for the next row as well. Now once you have the previous row complete, just like it is here, you are going to chain 4 and turn your work. Like I said, also this row we are not going to work an increment because I want to have us have an increase. I want us to have 2 rows of normal mesh stitch without any increments whatsoever every after the row of an increment. So even with this row, we just chain 4, turn our work. Into the third stitch, we work a double crochet, then chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, and we do this all the way around until the end of our row, okay? So let me meet you on the next row and show you what to do. So when we get at this row, we are just going to do exactly what we did previously. We are going to mark our sides. So just look for that stitch that is in line with your previous increment. Sometimes I just don't want to go back and count the chain gaps and then divide by 2. That's what I do. So just do that, mark your sides, then we can now start working on the increments. Now once again, for our row of increase, we are going to chain 4 and turn our work. Into the third stitch, we work a double crochet. And then we shall chain 1 and skip 1, work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And this is what we are going to do for every chain gap until we are at that chain gap that is next to the marked stitch, okay? So just do this until you get to that chain gap that is next to the marked stitch. And as you can see, here we are. So I'm going to chain 1, and into that marked stitch I'm going to work a double crochet, okay? And then I will chain 1, and then once again in that very same stitch I'm going to work a double crochet. So that is how you work your increments into the marked stitches. Now you're going to continue with the mesh until you get to this marked stitch. Do the very same thing right here and work an increment in the marked stitch, then go ahead with the mesh until the end of the row, okay? After that you work 2 normal rows. So for the very last time, I'm just going to take you through how to work your normal rows. You will just you see, this is where we put our increment, okay, right there. Now for our normal row, we are just going to work 4 chains and then turn our work. and into the third stitch we work a double crochet, then chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet in the next stitch, and just do this repeatedly all the way around. And this is the very same thing you are going to do for your next row as well. So we have 2 normal rows every after one increase. Every after one row of an increase, we are going to have 2 normal rows. Okay, so this is what you are going to do repeatedly and repeatedly until you have the length of the bell or leg that you need. Okay, personally from the crotch I have 48 rows all the way going down. Okay, and then the whole entire trouser took me 63 rows to complete. Okay, so if your size is large you could have more rows than that, and I have provided a written pattern for this with adjustments for those sizes, so you can check out the written pattern and see that you buy yourself something that is easy to follow. Now this is just a clip for my friends that want a wider bell, like a wider bell than what is in the picture. Okay, this is what you will do. After your 1 row of increase, you'll work 1 normal row and then a row of increase. So for the ones that want standard width, you're going to be working an increase and 2 normal rows, then a row of an increase. But those ones who want a very wide bell, you can work 1 row of an increase, 1 normal row, 1 row of an increase, 1 normal row. I hope I am clear. So that's how you adjust for the bell. So now we have the look of our work, and this is how it should look like once you have finished your bell. As you can see, for me, from the crotch I have 48 stitches from the crotch, and from here I have 31 rows. Okay, from here all the way going down, from my slit going down I have 31 rows, and then from the crotch up here going down, that's 31 plus 17. Okay, that's 48 rows. Okay, going down, and then from my waist going down I have a total of 63 rows for the whole entire project. And yes, now I'm going to show you how to work edges for your slit. All right, now here I am done with my bell, and I want to work along the edge of my slit. So into the very last double crochet post, as you can see, I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and work 2 double crochets. Now I'll skip that double crochet post and work a slip stitch into the next double crochet post. Okay, then chain 2 into that very same double crochet post. I'm going to work 2 double crochets, just like that. This, what I'm doing is scallops. Okay, so once again I'm going to skip that, and into the top of the next double crochet post right there I'm going to work my slip stitch. See that? Chain 2 into that very same spot. I'm going to work 2 double crochets, just like that, and I'll skip that double crochet post into the next double crochet post. In the center of the next double crochet post I will work a slip stitch, and then chain 2, work 2 double crochets into that very same spot, now you're going to get into the top of the next double crochet post. You see that? Into the top of it right there, and work your slip stitch. Now this means that I'm working 1 scallop into the next, like in the middle of the next double crochet post, and then the other scallop is going to be worked at the top of the next double crochet post. So you're going to go all the way up here. You will find that the next single crochet after you work your last scallop will be worked into that chain gap that started our slit. Then you go down working into the center of the next post, and then the other scallop will be worked at the top of the post. Okay, so just go all the way up and above. If this is hard for you, please do not stress yourself with scallops. You can just work single crochets just to clean up the edge of your slit. I just wanted to do something like pretty, you know, on my work. But yes, this is it. This is how it should look like. So if scallops are hard for you, this is just a border design. You could work with any other border design, maybe shells or anything. Okay. All right, so now my slit is complete. I'm going to go back all the way up to work around the edge of my crotch. So I'll insert my hook into the very first stitch right there and get my yarn, attach it onto my hook. Attach it onto my hook, and I'm going to pull through and work a chain. Then into this very same stitch I am going to work one single crochet, and then work another single crochet into the single crochet post that started the project. Now for every double crochet post I'm going to be working 2 single crochets. Okay, so into every double crochet post you work 2 single crochets. All right, just work 2 single crochets into every double crochet post, all the way going down and all the way going up. Okay, so it is this simple. You see that our edge is like looking fine. It's not looking like it lacks stitches or there are no stitches somewhere or something. Yes, so we just work 2 single crochets into every double crochet post. Yeah, and go all the way down. See that? So go down all the way into this V. You see there is this last double crochet post in there. You will work 2 single crochets, then cross over to this side and work 2 single crochets going up for all the double crochet posts until you're back to the waistline, where you'll work a single crochet into the single crochet post and also into the very last chain stitch. So your work should look like this once you have gone all the way around. You see my edge? That's how it should look like. See that? Now you are going to follow the very exact steps we have done from beginning up to where we are right now for your second leg. Okay, also you should keep in mind when working your leg that the side where you put your slit, you should remember that you need to change the side where you put your slit. All right, because for me I found that my slit were on that very same side, so I had to turn my one leg in out to have my crotch facing each other. Okay, I had to turn one leg in out. That's the truth, but it doesn't show because it still looks okay. So just in case you make the very same mistake like I am, just a perfectionist, I even felt like undoing the work. But yes, if you make the same mistake as I did, you will just have to turn one leg in out, okay, and then continue with the project. It won't show, it doesn't show. You have seen my trousers until I tell you. That's when you know. So now we are going to stitch these two together with my yarn needle. I am sorry I didn't mention we needed a yarn needle, but yes. So we are going to need a yarn needle and just stitch these two together. I'm not going to take you through that process, okay, but just stitch them together and see that they're stitched together, and there we shall have our trousers. So when you have your 2 legs, this is how they'll look like, and then you stitch them together like that all the way and then come to the front. Now I personally had to work 1 row of double crochets onto my waistline stitches, okay, just to secure my waistline so it can be neat. And then I also added a drawstring. You can see it swinging it from the back, from the back. Just do that, work a row of double crochet as you can see, then add your drawstring. I made mine tied to the back so it is well fitted and it doesn't show. Yes, that's how now you have your slitted bell bottoms. A written pattern is available for these guys, just in case you're not a video person. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Bye.